am Tammy Beilstein. Welcome to Tammy's Window on Calaveras. I have with me today two ladies. Their names are Elaine Heagle and Viki Freeman, and they are from the Central Sierra Child Support Agency, which covers Tuolumne, Amador, and Calaveras. And Alpine. Okay. Wow, you guys. Yeah, you must be so busy.
We have a lot of territory.
Oh my goodness. Now, the work that they do is so important. And it must be pretty darn stressful. I don't know if I would want to do it, actually. So before we start, can you tell us a little bit about what it is that your agency does?
Well, Vicki, you want to take that one?
Sure. The main focus is that we establish paternity, child support orders, health insurance orders, and we also help with the enforcement of that once we have the orders. We used to be considered bad guys because we were part of the district attorney's office, and the state separated us from that. And what we try to do now is work with the non-custodial parents to try to get the correct orders and have things so that they are suitable for both the children and the non-custodial parents. So we're not quite as adversarial as we were in the past. The idea is to take care of the children. That's what our main goal is.
Is it part of your job to set the amount of the child support payments, or is that something a court does and then you're told what to collect?
We actually, in conjunction with the court, set the orders. California is a judicial state, so our orders all are set judicially through the courts. But many times we've worked in agreement with those parents ahead of time, and the best thing they can do is to cooperate with us. We don't always get all the information at an interview about the other party's situation. So we're asking both parties to cooperate, provide us financial information, and we plug all that into a calculated system that the state of California uses, same that the court uses in California, and we know what the child support amount is going to figure to be. So they can agree to do that with cooperation in our office. We can do stipulated agreements where the parties can all sign. It still goes to court and get filed with the judge's signature, and they have the order. But if they choose to not want to agree to it by stipulation, then we go to the court hearing and we allow all the parties to have their day and time to present issues to the court, and then the court makes the ruling on the support.
Oh, that must be a tough job. I'm thinking about people who have jobs like waiters or hairdressers, or people that make a certain amount on their paycheck, but then make maybe that same amount in tips or some sort of in-kind wage.
Self-employment can be some of the hardest ones to try and calculate. We do ask for profit and losses. They are signing all the documents they're providing to the court regarding their income under penalty of perjury. So with all of that and the court's inquiry, they're looking for hopefully getting down to a pretty accurate figure about what that person's income level really is, and then they can set support accordingly.
Oh, gosh.
And
so
Tammy, as we know, our counties are all low-income counties. We don't have a lot of employment. I think Tuolumne has a little bit more than Amador and Calaveras, and Alpine certainly doesn't. We only have 40 cases in Alpine, so it's not a big caseload. But the issue is if we don't get the cooperation, as Elaine said, then we will set a higher order because we don't have enough information, and that's why it's critical that the parties work with us so we can get the correct order for the circumstances that they have. So that's important.
So about how many cases do you have in Calaveras?
In Calaveras, we have 1,667.
No, you don't.
Yeah, and it's down from what it used to be.
Oh my gosh, that's shocking to me.
In our whole agency, we have 2,645. So Calaveras and Tuolumne have the largest case.
Total?
Oh, the total?
5594.
5594.
Almost 5,600 cases.
Oh my gosh.
Agency-wide.
Oh my gosh. I can't imagine how you guys even keep up on top of everything. How many people do you have in your agency there?
49.
49. That's a huge number of families that I don't know. I guess I've never been divorced, and a lot of our friends are like us, and I guess I just don't even imagine that many families are going through this sort of thing. That's sad.
It is,
But thank
and
goodness there
our,
are people like
our
you.
role is to try and be that intermediary
Yeah.
person who says, we are absolutely neutral, we don't represent any party of the case.
Yeah.
We strictly represent helping the child have their right to have child support. So we want to work with both sides of families
Yeah.
to promote the self-sufficiency of the family as a whole to be able
Yeah.
to survive and go forward. Being involved
Right.
in their kids' lives and taking the whole money issue out of that dynamics every day. Let that flow through us. Let us be the mediator on that and work
Yeah.
those issues out.
And I love
they
that that's
can
such an
parent.
important part of what you do, being neutral, because what if one of the parents can afford a fancy pants person and the other can't? That's unfair. And I love that you guys are neutral. You're there for the child or children.
Correct.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to visitation and all of that, are you the people that if there is a problem that you go with them when they do the exchange of the child, or is that what you're?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's something different.
That's something different. The courts, handle those in a variety of ways, whether they're meeting in public places or whatever. But custody and visitation issues are not something that we have any issue with addressing and no right to be addressing.
Okay.
The percent of time factors into the calculation. So ultimately what the parents' plan is and what's actually being executed is really important to us to have an accurate information because that does impact how the calculations come out. But that is usually they're sent to family mediators through the courts, or they work those issues out in the court, and then we're given the final, this is the percent of time each parent has the child or children.
Gosh, okay. Now, if someone is putting up a fuss and doesn't want to pay what they're told they need to pay, is that when you attach it to wages, or how does that work? What are the options that someone has?
The state of California is a leader in the whole federal United States program of child support. We have a lot of tools that they give us to work with. We can intercept their wages. It's actually part of a requirement that all child support is to be paid by wage assignment. And that works as long as they're employed with an employer. If they're not employed, self-employed, and that there's other options in how they can pay. They can pay by direct payment, by writing the check and sending it to the state distribution unit. They can pay online. There's a great customer connect that allows them to access their case. They can get all sorts of information about their case, what's going on. They can get e-documents from there printed out, but they can also go on there and pay and make their child support payment. And they can do that by credit card, Visa, MasterCard, or by taking out of their bank account and having it sent that way.
Okay. Are you set up for the automatic one, right? That's how we pay a lot of our bills, is just through Bank of America. We just set it up once, and every month the same amount goes out. That's
Correct.
nice and
They
easy.
can do that. They can set that up with their bank, have that. Everything goes through the state distribution unit in Sacramento, so that collects all the money for the state of
So
California.
the one parent never mails the money to the other parent?
No,
Okay.
it goes through the statewide system. And that came about years ago. It helps ensure that any of the children that person is responsible for supporting gets their amount. Unfortunately, years ago, we used to see there would be cases where one parent was liked, one ex was liked over another ex, and they would pick and choose where they were going to send money. So the state put in the state distribution unit with the rules of distribution that says, no, we first pay to current support to all the children that need it, and accordingly down through the arrearages then.
And that's for anybody who has
In the
children who's
state.
going through this?
In the state.
So they don't have a choice if
No.
they want to do that. It's just done.
Right.
That's
Even the
pretty cool.
employers that withhold, that's where all the wage assignment money is sent.
Okay.
And it goes there and goes according to disbursement rules. So everybody that has that minor child is getting a share of that money
Okay.
to try and help support their children.
Do you guys have a way of making sure that the money is spent correctly on the child? No.
No, we have no way to govern that, and that comes up quite often. But we don't see that at all. All we do is get the orders and enforce the orders.
Yeah.
And some of the other things that we do for enforcement too, besides the wage assignments, is one of the big things that happens up here is driver's license suspensions. A case when it doesn't pay, when it gets to a certain dollar amount, automatically is submitted to DMV as a non-payer, and they have to contact our office to find out what terms we want for license release. There's also other licenses now that are included, including fishing and hunting licenses, and obviously in our county that hits home a little more. Yes, so
It's been an attention getter.
Yes, we don't have quite as many just driver's licenses, but it has gotten some attention. So
Yeah.
those are our tools, as well as passports. If people apply for a passport, they have to pay off all the arrears that they have owed before they can get a passport. There are, if they have a workers' comp case or some kind of insurance settlement, there's liens that go out to those as well.
Wow.
And so there's a lot of tools that we have, but of course, again, we want to work with the parties so that we don't get to that point.
Yeah.
It doesn't benefit anybody if we have somebody that's upset. It doesn't benefit
Right.
the children.
Right. And as you guys were talking, I was thinking, I do know somebody who did not pay child support for 2 kids for quite a long time. He was unemployed. And it added up to such a huge amount that I remember hearing him say something like, what would be the use of getting a job because he owed so much money.
And it depends,
yeah.
depends on who the money's owed to. The money that there is some programs within the state, if they have accrued arrears and they can't pay them and it's owed to the state, we have some programs where we can look at potential compromises to kind of get them back on track.
Okay. Where you wouldn't cut the amount in half or anything, but maybe make the outgoing
With any of
dollar
the
amount a
arrears,
little lower.
we're always trying to work, I mean, ultimately we want to get it all paid in full, but we try and work to get them on a payment plan.
Right.
We understand not everybody can go out and get a huge chunk of money out of somewhere.
But
they're-
something's better than nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we do work with them on payment plans. Like Vicki said, they want their licenses, and that's any state license. So it can be even a doctor whose license could be on the line for non-payment.
okay.
And we go in and figure out a plan to have them pay, and as long as they keep paying, they're going to have their license. We also get tax intercepts, and this time of year that's a big thing, is
true.
they fall filing taxes. We do get the tax intercept program, so that is something that comes out every year, and that usually helps with a big chunk towards arrears sometimes
Right.
if they have it.
But I keep going back to the idea of you guys being so neutral and being there for the child and not for either parent, because stuff happens. People lose their jobs or they get hurt or someone in the family has an illness or something. Stuff happens, and maybe there is a really good, legitimate reason why they can't come up with the money right then, but they shouldn't be afraid to come see you and work
The
it out.
economy has done that a lot, as
Yeah.
we've seen, and again, if you get the people to cooperate and they're not disgruntled, then they're going to buy in and they're going to want to make the payments versus being angry at everybody. And one of the things we're trying to encourage that people don't realize, even if they are not receiving, the majority of our cases come from welfare referrals. People go on cash aid, and then we get referrals automatically. But now the push. We want to see people who are not on aid and let them know that we, as Elaine said, we're a neutral party. We get the payments. You don't have to worry about arguing about whether you made a payment or
Yeah.
keep track of it because we do
Or
audits.
he said, she said, where I
Right.
mailed it, no, I didn't
Well,
get
It
it.
takes some of that stress out of there
Yeah.
for the parties.
As Vicki says, with people who aren't on aid, that's huge to have that record. If something
Right.
does break down years later, and to have that accounting and be able to have someone who's neutral, we've kept a neutral record all the years, we can go into court and testify and provide documentation as to what was owed, what was paid. Orders change all the time over the years. As you said, people's job situations can change. Those orders get modified, and we keep that record. And the only time a parent has any incurred fees for our services is a non-assisted parent. If we collect more than $500 the year before, we'll be assessed $25 the following year.
For the whole
So,
year, that's it though.
$25, and we keep all the records and,
Wow.
and show up in court and do anything that's needed regarding
Yeah.
helping with enforcement on that case. So
Now, once someone comes to you guys for help, are they assigned one of you, or they just show up at the office and whoever is available will work with them?
We have caseworkers that are assigned by teams and by alphabet in both offices, and in Alpine there's only one worker. But they come in and they fill out an application, or they can do it online. through the site that Elaine talked about, through the state. There's an application they can complete online, and then that comes automatically to the agency, and the case is open, and then they're assigned a caseworker. And it depends on whether it's a brand new case that doesn't have an order. That would be an establishment case, and if there's already an existing order, then it's an enforcement case. And if they need to modify the order because there's been a change in custody or income or any other major substantial change in circumstances, then one or the other can request a modification, and then we take care of that as well. So there's, and the health insurance is a big deal too.
Okay,
So
because everyone has to have, they have to cover the kids.
It's a requirement in California, and a child support case has to have a health insurance order.
Okay. Do you guys ever go to the clients? You wouldn't go to their home to do any of this. They need to come to your office.
They can do it online or by phone.
Okay.
If it's a hardship and they don't have transportation, we can do them over the phone for them.
Okay.
But we do have to have documents, so
Right, 'cause
that's
I'm
something.
imagining all the
If there's
paperwork
court
and
orders and
everything.
things, we do have to at least know where they are, as much information as possible. We
Yeah.
do have the ability to get copies of certified court orders and things, but the more they can give us a case opening, the better we can do in working for the parties,
Right.
both parties.
Right.
And as far as seeing us, we do have a staff person in every county. So while we cover the 4 counties, we do have a staff person at the Health and Human Services building here in San Andreas who is available here. We have people at our site in Jackson office. We have people in Sutter Creek at the health department there. We have people at the Sonora office and someone up in Alpine. So we're very spread out throughout the county in trying to meet and accommodate being available to service our customer.
And are you guys a 9 to 5? Is that how that?
We're an 8 to 5.
8 to 5.
But we have this Customer Connect website, which is 24 hours a day. So even if they can't reach us during our normal business hours, they can log in through Customer Connect. There's ways they can then email their caseworker through there.
Okay.
They can find out what the balance is. They can find out the last payments. They can find out what court hearings they have coming up.
That's good.
So we're getting more and more into the technology of the new century and doing a lot more through these other forms of communication now.
Yeah.
We try and meet the customer's accessibility through all the different kind of media sources we can reach out to them on now.
That is so important. You know, when things like this are going on, I can only imagine a divorce and trying to work out all the issues with the child. The stress level must be up to here. And I think the other day, for our taxes, I was trying to get a hold of the disability office to just ask somebody a question. And their hours ended at noon. For one thing, I couldn't even talk to anyone unless I called before noon. And it was just so darn difficult. I love that you guys have so many ways that people can reach you to work with you.
We often get other counties, the bigger counties, that call us because we actually do like license releases. Even if we don't have a case, we can contact the other county and release for them. So the people have learned to contact us because they can, and then they know that we'll reach out to the other counties to try to resolve the issues. Or even if there's paperwork or something they need help with, they can come into our office and we will still help them even if we're not handling the case.
Wow. Oh, with that huge number of cases you guys have, I can't even imagine you have an extra 2 minutes to help anybody else outside of the county.
Everybody's worth our time. We're never too busy.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And the phone number is a statewide number, so no matter where they're at, they can call into that number. It's
should give that number.
866-901-3212.
Okay.
And like I said, it's toll-free statewide, so no matter where they're located, if they're out of town and have a question, that number's going to get them to the right county. They just call in, and it has a voice response system that will prompt them to find out what county they need to go to and get them directly to someone who can help them and answer a lot of their questions at that first contact with them.
Awesome. While we're giving out that sort of info, where in Calaveras is the office if they need to go?
It's on St. Charles Street at the Health and Human Services building right up the street.
Yeah.
59 East St. Charles.
Okay.
And there's 2 workers in that office, so we have coverage if someone's at lunch or something. Again, we try to be available that whole time. We don't shut down for lunch.
Very good. And the web address, did we give that in case someone wants to go online and
Well,
check it out, or do we not have that?
the website's pretty much, if you look for under california.gov, you can then look by county and it'll prompt you
Okay.
to all the different websites, or you can just put in whatever county you're searching for and child support services, and almost every one of us will have one that'll pop up for our county,
Okay.
telling us the information you need.
Okay.
But we do have some direct email access that our
Yeah.
case managers monitor and respond to people. If they're in the Alpine, Amador, Calaveras, they'd want to do csa.alpineamadorcalaveras at centralsierra.cse.ca.gov.
Wow.
Not short, I know. And the other one for Tuolumne is CSCSA Tuolumne at centralsierra.cse.ca.gov. And
That's why we tell them to go to the state one.
It's easier to go through the state
Yeah.
to get there. But we do. We're glad to communicate with them that way. And if they ever receive something from this, it is from our agency, and we're reaching out, trying to communicate with them. We find sometimes that we lose the phone number, or people have moved, and we have that email because we all kind of keep that with us no matter where we
Wow.
go. So we do use that at times to reach out. So if you do get something from the Central Sierra Agency, it likely is us saying,
Okay.
we're trying to contact you, please call us back or
Right,
talk
right.
to us.
But your jobs to me are, I don't know, it's pretty neat what you guys do, that you're there to, I love that you're there for the child, like I was saying, but what is it that made you want to do this kind of work? I can't imagine you being little girls and saying, I want to grow up and collect child support money for
I don't know
children.
that we started out thinking about that as little girls. It is a career you either absolutely love or it's not for you and you move on. I'm coming up on 21 years. Vicki is
23.
23.
You guys must love what you're doing.
And most of our staff has longevity. We have only a few that are in their first year to 3 year range. Most of those 48 are a lot longer. We have 35
Really?
years on some of them. So
Wow,
it is a fascinating career. It's never boring. I mean,
I bet.
the courts change the rules, the federals change the rules, the state changes the
Oh, I
rules.
hadn't even thought of
and
that.
we keep track of all of that. That's part of why we're there, but our job is to keep tabs of all of those things that change and keep up with them, and then keep servicing our families, making all that come together to help them have what they need to basically just care for a child and get that child raised, and to be involved in their child's life, both the mom and the dad, without having to have the money discussions there. They can let that go through our agency.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. And I guess it's what you find the most rewarding is seeing these families that have obviously gone through some really sad, stressful, maybe even traumatic things to get to the point where they're at when they need to come and see you and know that you're there to help.
A lot of times the most rewarding things that come up are when we get a thank you from either party, when they said they didn't want to deal with this, or they were afraid to deal with it and they've ignored it all these years, and either they have someone that's helping them, that's encouraging them to participate. Once they do, they go, oh, I wish I'd have done this years ago.
Right.
You know, once they find out we don't have the adversarial outlook that used to be, that's the big thing where we had to overcome, and that is not what we're all about.
And this isn't the sort of thing that's going to go away if they ignore it.
No.
Yeah.
And when they're working with us, there is really a lot of big teeth. I mean, like you said, you can win the lottery, we take your money. You have taxes, refunds, we take your money. We can drain a bank account. We can, seize your wages. There's a lot of enforcement tools that are put in place to help us try and get that child taken care of first and foremost in your life. But when the parties are working with us, we can work with them within those tools. Some of those tools were designed to get the attention of someone who's not putting their child first. And those that come to us and say, okay, I understand it's there, it's not going to go away, how can you work with me through this? We're more than glad to sit down and figure out plans that help them work through the process. And
Now, I
get
remember
that.
at the beginning you guys mentioned that you help with paternity. How do you do that? If a woman has been with a few different men, you call them all in and
What they do is when they fill out the application, they name any potential father. Putative father is what they're called.
Okay.
And we start with the most likely generally, and start by doing genetic testing.
Okay.
So once we do that, and if they're proven to not be the father, then we start working our way. We don't have that many that have a lot. We have had a few that have 5 or 6.
Yeah.
But that's not the norm. There's usually 1 or 2.
Okay.
And usually they really know who it is, but they want somebody else to be, so they'll give their name first.
Oh.
So, you know, but
And
we
you
go,
can force a man to...
we can get a court order.
A court order, okay.
Yes. If they're not willing, again, we try to do it with a stipulation and an agreement with the parties, but if for some reason they are not willing to do that, then we go to court and we get an order for genetic testing.
How is that test done? Is it a cotton
Buccal
swab?
swab.
It's the buccal swab,
Okay.
it's the cheek swab.
Okay.
Kind
So
of the old CSI, scrubbing
Yeah.
the cheek. That's
So that doesn't hurt?
Nope.
No.
You just go and...
No
Okay.
blood
And the
tests.
parties don't have to be together. They're
Okay.
usually separate, the children and whoever the custodian. The mother is who we need. And the mother and the father, if one happens to be deceased or something, there are other familial ties that they can go through. But you want the mother and father so they can come in separately so that there's no conflict. Again, the idea is to make things work well and to
Yeah.
get cooperation. So we do that test, it's sent off to a lab, and then they send us the results, and then we contact the parties and advise them.
Okay.
And it's about 4 weeks, we know. Within 4
Okay.
weeks, we get the results back. And fathers can come to us too, or a man who thinks he may have produced the child and say, I want to test, I want to know, I want to be responsible for my child. So they can come to us and open the case and ask that we handle that in determining if they are the biological father or
Yeah.
not.
And they don't have to do child
Yeah.
support, they can just do the paternity test, open a case just for that.
Oh, really?
Yes, they
Okay.
can, just so that we do the testing, so that they know and put their mind at ease that that's their child.
Are these paternity tests kind of new? I mean,
No.
have you had many? No, okay, because I'm thinking, what if there have been men who've been paying child support for years and then they find out now that they're not the parent?
And there's some legal rules about the time frames on when we can and can't test.
Okay.
In general, once it's been legally established, we're not going to be going in to do genetic testing.
Okay.
So the earlier on the parents come to us or have a suspicion that there's an issue regarding parentage, come to us early on, come when that child's newborn.
Yeah.
In the first 2 years, let us do the testing. They can establish parentage at the hospitals now. And since about 1997, when a child's born, if the parents aren't married, they offer them the chance to sign a paternity opportunity declaration. And that's the dad saying, this is my child and I'm taking responsibility. And legally after that's signed, it has about a 60-day time frame. And at the end of that, that man is legally that child's father then for the rest of that child's
Wow,
life.
okay.
So if they have questions about whether they are or not, come see us before you sign that. We can always sign that in our office after the tests are back as well.
Okay, very cool. Now, we don't have too much time left, but I see that you guys are going to be at a couple of different events around in Calaveras and in Amador County if someone wants to come and have some questions, talk with you in person for a few minutes. Where's that going to be and when?
Okay, the one is in Calaveras is at Bret Harte High School. It's a children's fair on April 11th. And then Tuolumne has one as well.
We do it at the Motherlode Fairgrounds, and it's the ISIS Fair, April 25th, and it is from, I believe, 10 in the morning to like 2 in the afternoon.
Okay.
So
And you'll have brochures there, sort of things that people can pick up if they just want to take home, take a look at it later.
they can do that.
Awesome.
Yep.
That
We
is
would
so
love
neat.
to see them, and they can bring their kids out because we have fun events at all of these
Oh, good.
outreach.
Very good. Well, I'm so glad you guys do what you do because I sure as heck wouldn't want to do it. So I don't know many people who would. That's really incredible. You guys have your hearts in the right spot, and you. I love your goal, your end goal of taking care of the kids, and pretty neat ladies. So,
Thank you
thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you for doing what you do, and thank you for coming on the show. When you guys have any new events or anything that you want to talk about, please come on back, okay?
Okay.
Well, and tell your people, please come talk to us. We're
Yes.
there and waiting to help them.
Yes, yes. Come see these wonderful women. They'll be happy to help you if you have any questions at all about any of this. So you guys, thank you so much for watching. I guess we're done. I'll see you next time on Tammy's Window on Calaveras.